Hello and welcome to the fifth installment of the Developmental Reading Series. This is Sir CJ, and this series is based on the Developmental Reading book written by Araceli M. Villamin, Evelyn S. Salazar, and Wilhelmina Gatmaitan. Let's dive into it! Ayan. So the first chapter is still what we are working on, and remember that it's titled The Nature and Psychology of Reading. Ayan. So we are still being reminded by the following quotation by James Russell Lowell that reading is the key which admits us to the world of thought, fancy, and imagination. It enables us to see with the keenest eyes, hear with the finest ears, and listen to the sweetest voices of all time. This installment is titled Levels of Comprehension. So basically, ang pag-uusapan natin dito is ano ba yung iba't ibang mga stages o kaya mga levels by which a reader comprehends what is being read. An attempt to divide the sources of reading comprehension has resulted in a categorizing scheme that gives us four important components. The first level of comprehension to be discussed is literal comprehension. So from the word literal, which is by letter, it is the understanding of facts or ideas extracted from the explicit or stated information given in the text. These facts are answers to questions often identified as the WHs, that is, yung mga who, yung what, yung when, and where. So at this level, ang iniintindi lang talaga actually is kung ano yung diretsong sinasabi ng text. So pagka halimbawa, sinabi ng text na yung kurtina doon sa room is kulay blue, then maybe wala namang ibang meaning doon. Kurtina is just color blue. Right? So, yung mga descriptions halimbawa ng kung gaano kabigat yung armor, kung ano saan gawa yung armor, kung gaano kaganda yung espada, or kung gaano kaganda yung mga flowers na tumutubo sa hardin ng isa sa mga characters in the story. Basically, if they're being just read the way they actually mean, just the explicit meaning, kung ano yung kulay, it's just the way it was perceived, kung ano yung size, it was just the way it was perceived, and no other meaning was put into that particular situation, walang symbolism na involved, that is just literal comprehension. That is the lowest so far of these levels of comprehension. The second level of comprehension is interpretative comprehension, and as it is suggested, it is the understanding of ideas extracted from implicit information in the text. Understanding is inferential because the facts are not stated. Instead, the readers must read between the lines. When a WH question cannot be answered by facts directly stated, then the question measures interpretative comprehension, and it answers the questions why or how. Actually, that's not just who or how. In interpretative comprehension, hindi naman diretsyo actually sasabihin minsan ng mga writers na nagkakaroon na ng hidwaan sa pagitan ng dalawang characters. Sometimes they do that in a way na parang ano lang siya, parang mga subtle lang na mga actions ng isang character that are actually against the other. Like, halimbawa, nag-make face lang siya or parang, parang describe lang ng writer na parang medyo meron siyang na-feel na coldness o kaya chill dun sa company ng isang character. So, it's like, they are not actually directly telling the reader anything, but the reader themselves are going to understand what is actually going on already. Okay, so it's based on kung bakit niya ginawa yun or bakit nasabi ng writer na gano'n yung na-feel niya, or pwede rin kung paano ba yung pagkakasabi ng isang character at kung anong ibig sabihin nun. Kung halimbawa, one of the characters replied in a sarcastic way or in a seemingly sarcastic way, pwedeng hindi na sabihin yun actually ng mismong narrator na sinabi niyang John replied sarcastically. Nandun na mismo dun sa words ni John, yung parang nanguuyam siya or parang nagpapaka-sarcastic siya. Ayan, and those are the things that actually enrich the experience of reading, but they don't necessarily have to be said, kumbaga, explicitly. They were just implicitly, kumbaga, they were just implied. Ayan. For the third level of comprehension, this is critical analysis. So, critical analysis is applied when the comprehension of a reading material involves not only the ideas directly stated and the inferences made on these stated facts, but also judgments and conclusions. Examples of such judgments are the analysis of the characters in a selection or of the author's style. Thus, experiences or ideas the reader already possesses plus his attitudes and standards are involved in comprehension. So, ito yung kumbaga pag-judge or pag-analyze na or pagko-comprehend na ng text na actually minsan or siguro hindi minsan, parang madalas hindi naman sila sinabi or hindi na sila included dun sa mismong binabasa. Like, say for instance, I was reading this book one time and based dun sa chapter na yon, supposedly yung nagnanarrate nung story was just 9 years old. So parang ang bata pa niya. Why? Parang ang bata pa niya for what? Yung mga sinasabi na niya kasi at that particular chapter, parang meron ng degree of maturity na feeling ko as a reader and based on my judgment, parang masyado siyang vivid. You know what I mean? Parang yung mga metaphors niya, parang hindi na yata yan pambata. Medyo may pagka na siya, highly parang sexual, parang ganon. Ayun, so syempre as a reader, medyo meron akong konting kumbaga something that is something against the way it was written. Kumbaga parang for me, since 9 years old pa lang siya na nagkakaroon ng nagde-develop na ng parang liking to that particular character. Siguro parang hindi naman yon yung mga uri ng mga bagay na sasabihin or iisipin ng isang 9-year-old. Like siguro being a teacher, I have already had this experience working with students of different ages, and in education we studied their psychological development. Medyo familiar naman ako, okay? So medyo may authority naman siguro ako na mag-comment on the maturity of the words that were used by the 9-year-old narrator as written by the author. Ayan. So kapag ganun na yung mga level of comprehension yung mga ginagawa natin, that means nasa third level na tayo ng comprehension, which is critical analysis. Ayan. So for the last level of comprehension, we have application and creation. Ayan. Okay, so for this level, they're often called as reading beyond the lines. The reader puts together what he has learned from the selection, that's integration, and then uses this knowledge in a related situation. An imaginative reader may find inspiration in the selection he has read and use it as his germ of thought that grows into a story or poem of his own, that is in creation. Or he may want to share his experiences with others by reading the selection, by using his word or his voice and face to aid in interpreting the story. He may even enact it on stage. Thus, a selection can be the springboard for something new. Now, there are times when we were just we're simply reading a text and then we were inspired to do something, right? Halimbawa, when I was reading this book called the Happiness Project, written by Gretchen Rubin. Marami siya actually sa self-help book. It's a narrative and at the same time parang essay type na book. So yung narrative doon is yung mga stories ni Gretchen Rubin about dun sa mga ginawa niya to achieve greater happiness na actually nag-work para sa kanya. And then parang mga essay, parang siguro mga insights lang ni Gretchen Rubin about how to be happier. Parang ganun siya. Now, after reading that book, I was inspired to create my own parang ways of making myself happier as well. So I integrated what I learned from the book. Some of it I actually applied like as they are. Like yung pagde-declutter, I actually applied that like as it is. Pagde-declutter ng table ko dito sa bahay where I sometimes work for my personal projects. And then sa school where I work naman professionally. Ayan. And then I added something to it, like something of my own creation. I started actually writing on journals, which was something I haven't done ever before reading that book. Ayan, so parang after reading a book, after being inspired by that particular author, I used actually what I learned from the book as my germ of thought into, kumbaga, making my own happiness project. You know what I mean? Ayan, and that is the highest level of comprehension. Ayan. All right. So at this point, we're actually about to be done na sa DR5, which is levels of comprehension. But you know what we do here? We're always having these checkpoints. All right. So for this checkpoint, this is what we'll be doing. You will be writing the answer on the space provided for you. So for number 1, what is the level of comprehension wherein the reader puts together what he has learned from the selection? Okay, I'll give you time to answer this question, but remember that you can always pause this video. Now, if you're done, let us proceed with the next one. Item number 2. Ayan, comprehension of a reading material which involves not only the ideas directly stated, but also inferences, judgments, and conclusions. Now, write your answer on the space provided. Pause this video if you need more time. If you're through, let's proceed with the third item. Item number 3, understanding facts or ideas extracted from the explicit or stated information given in the text. What do you think is the answer to this question? Pause this video if you need more time. If you're done, let us proceed with the next item. Item number 4, understanding ideas extracted from implicit information in the text. So this is a contrast from the previous item. What do you think is the answer to this question? If you need more time, pause this video. If you're done, let's proceed with the next item. Item number 5, reading beyond the lines. What do you think is the answer to this question? Let us proceed with the next item. Item number 6, level of comprehension often identified with who, where, and when questions. Next item, item number 7, why and how questions which ask the reader to read between the lines. Item number 8, reading skills which consist of scanning for a particular purpose, such as looking for a friend's address in the telephone directory. So at this point, I would like you to recall some bits of information that's actually coming from the previous session. Let's see how you work. If you haven't seen the previous sections yet, you can always go back one video siguro or 2 videos in this playlist. If you don't know there's a playlist, you can actually look at the home page of my channel and look for the playlist for developmental reading. That's item number 8. Let's now proceed with item number 9. Skills which include getting the main idea and anticipating point of view. And the last item, one who finds inspiration in the selection he has read and uses it as his germ of thought to develop his own story or poem. So at this point, I think we're back to the levels of comprehension. Let us now check your work. For item number 1, the answer is application and creation. For item number 2, the answer is critical analysis. For item number 3, the answer is literal comprehension. For item number 4, the answer is interpretative comprehension. For item number 5, the answer is application and creation. For item number 6, the answer is literal comprehension. For item number 7, the answer is interpretative comprehension. For item number 8, let's see if you remember this, it's intensive reading. For item number 9, the answer is intensive reading again. And for the last item, the answer is application and creation. Ayan. So let us evaluate how you did so far. I suggest if meron kang a score na parang below 7 or 8, maybe you wanna review the way you understood this lesson. Right? Let us make sure that before you proceed to the next the DR, make sure that you already comprehended most of what we were trying to learn in each session. However, if you already did a very good job, like 9 over 10 or 10 over 10 na yan, congratulations! You made it past the DR5, the levels of comprehension. This is still the developmental reading series, and I am Sir CJ. I'm hoping that I will see you in the next video lesson.